Hey all, so today we're going to take a look at running through the Lab 2 workflow so that we have the marine data points and then you can see how do you change the projection, how do you add a field, how do you calculate your geometry, and then how do you summarize your data. So some of the exact features will depend on which of the ARC Pros you're using. So in my case, I'm currently using 3.1. So if you're on 3.2 or 3.3, the process is still going to be the same, but some of the specific things might look a little bit different. Some of the wording might have changed slightly, and this is something that happens every time they update ARC Pro. So when you update Art Pro, this is the interface you're going to see. So you're going to, once you're logged in, it's going to have your map, your catalog, global scene, local scene, and start without a template. In your case, you're going to want to start with a map. This is going to create a new project and a filing system where you can save everything, and that way it's always going to stay in that location. You don't have to worry about temporary files or things like that. So you're going to start with a new map, and then in this case you're going to want to change what this name is. You can change where it's saving it by clicking on the folder button over on the right hand side, but even without that you still want to change the name. So in this case I'm going to call this GHY 217 projections, and that way when I come back to this in a couple of weeks I know that this is the projections one, that it's not one of the later labs. Otherwise it's just going to start creating my project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This gets very difficult to sort out which ones are which as you start progressing with more of your data. Even if you look at mine, I have a whole bunch of different things, and some of them are going to be named well and some of them are not going to be named well, and sometimes I even still have a my project that is kicking around, and in this case my last one was a my project 8, which means I have 8 other ones that I have no idea what they are. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that. Now, if you are just loading up ARC, yours is probably going to look a little bit different than mine. I've already switched my settings so that it shows up in dark mode. What you will probably see when you open up yours is the light mode version of it, and you're probably going to have this topographic map that is going to pop up. This will pop up every single time. I'm going to switch mine back to my dark mode one just because I have difficulties looking at the default one that pops up. So I always have it load with the Firefly imagery. You don't have to, but the function of your database or of ARC will still be the same regardless of which one loads. So it will always load with a base map. Nothing about the base map is really interactive. It's just really good for locating. So as I zoom in, it'll come up with what places, but nothing is clickable. Nothing is going to give me information about that place. That's why we have our GIS data. On the left hand side, you're going to have all of the different layers that are part of your current project. And on the right hand side, this is where you're going to have all of the different functions that you potentially use or anything that you open up in the course of doing the project. Um, this will, if you're on the same computer, oftentimes it'll load whatever your last iteration was. So in my case, you'll see that I have catalog, geoprocessing, chart properties, and symbols down at the bottom. You will likely only have catalog or maybe catalog and symbology. But as you start getting more things and you start doing more work on the computer, then more things will pop up on this side. The very first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a look and see what your on the fly projection is. This is useful because if you need to change how things look without actually changing the back-end data, this would be the place to do it. So to do that, you can go and you can right click on your map, you can go to properties down at the bottom, click on that, and this is where you can change what the name of the map is, and then you can also change what the coordinate system that you're seeing is. Now in my case, I'm going to switch this out to Robinson. This is because we're actually going to create 3 maps with one set of data, and I want to put them in different places so that it automatically transforms what the on-the-fly projection is as I load them. The reason for this is that if you load in any data, the very first data set that you load, whatever its projection or how it's unwrapped to the globe is, is what the default is going to be, and so any data you load after that is not going to change how it looks even if the backend data is different. This is one of the quirks with Esri because it hides a lot of data errors, and it will make sure that everything tries to draw on top of each other and work nicely in harmony with each other. So this is something that is a bit of a quirk for both good and bad. So if you do eventually need to change that, you can pop on down to the coordinate systems, and this is where you're going to be able to see how you're going to break up the world. So right now this is just doing it as the web Mercator system, but down in this projected coordinate system, this is where I can adjust things. So for example, if I wanted to change it out to something polar, I could do that. I could say South Pole, Lambert, azimuthal, equal area. And it's going to change how this looks so that in this case Antarctica is the center and North America is over on the side here. Now for the purpose of this, I'm going to switch this to Robinson. Because I've already switched the coordinate system, when I add data it's not going to adjust it. So I can also search for it. So I can type in Robinson, hit enter, and it's going to have a variety of different options for me. So I'm going to click on the world in this case and do the Robinson world. So that's how you change the on-the-fly projection. So this is just, again, changing how the world looks. It's not changing any of your back-end data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in 2 more different maps by changing at the top to the insert ribbon. So I'm going to go to the insert ribbon and click new map, and it's going to open up a second map. And then I'm going to click new map again. Now in here, I'm not going to change the on-the-fly projections because I want you to see what happens when you add data to it, but you can change the on-the-fly projection in the exact same way that I showed before. What I am going to change though, so that I keep things aligned and in a row, is I'm going to go and I'm going to right click on map, I'm going to go to properties, and this I'm going to say general, and I'm going to change the name of it, and I'm going to say Albers. And then in the last one, I'm going to right click on it, go to properties, go to general, and say South Pole azimuthal. And I'm going to click OK on that. So now I have 3 different sets of data. Or I have 3 different maps, and this is where I'm going to start working and start putting things in. I'm going to show you how to do that and how to do the projections in the next one. So see you back here soon.